Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today I want to show you a few DIYs that you can make to decorate your Super Bowl table. So, I will admit I am not the biggest football fan. I show up to the Super Bowl for the food, the commercials, and the halftime show. That's about it. But this year we are having a Super Bowl party here at the farmhouse and we're gonna have people over. So I decided to make some DIY pieces that would be festive and help decorate our table. I'm gonna show you how to make all of them today. The first one will be this kind of tablescape mat that looks like the football field. It works perfectly as a tablecloth here for me, and you can make this in various sizes. The next one is going to be this fun goalpost napkin holder that we made out of extra pieces of wood. The third one is going to be these little football utensil holders that aren't difficult to make at all. And then there's going to be a fourth one that kind of happened from this one that I'm also going to show you at the end too. So let's get started.
All right, so to begin, we're actually going to start with the mason jar craft. Sorry, you guys, I don't know why I gave you the order earlier, but this is the order that we're actually going to start in because the mason jar crafts are the easiest to do. So the first thing I did was I bought mason jars in a specific size because I wanted the spoons, the forks, and the knives to fit in these nicely, and that's what I was making these for. You can also use these as flower vases if you want to use them that way, or you can use them kind of for whatever you want. But I bought them in this specific size so I can use them for spoons, forks, and knives. I will have a link to the exact ones that I bought in the description below if you guys are going to look for the same size too. The first thing I did was to paint a coat of brown paint onto the mason jars. So this first coat is going to go on really streaky. You're painting on glass and you need to let that dry fully before you can do anything else with it. I did not paint the bottoms of my jars because I was setting them back on the table and I just didn't feel like you needed it. If you can't see it, you probably don't need it. Then after they were dry fully, I went back and I added a second coat onto them. This coat will cover a lot better than the first coat did. You can see that I'm already getting a lot better coverage here with just this second coat. For my color, I actually used two different browns to create this look. I will leave the colors in the description below for you if you want to use the same colors, but you can also just use one brown paint. I was being a little picky here. Make sure as you're going, you're trying to cover all those extra spots that you can see through. You'll have to do another coat on these after the second coat is dry, but the second coat will really be the coat that gives you a nice solid foundation for the silverware holders. I used sponge brushes here again because I love using these brushes for crafts. They're simple to find, they're cheap, and they have a nice wooden handle and the sponge brush which biodegrades easily, and they cover really, really well. So I prefer to use these, especially when I'm working with paint on glass. If you guys want to pick these up, I will leave a link in the description below to the brushes for you, or you can find them at any craft store. All right, so that third coat is really about getting any spots that you missed. So I'm just going back through, I'm doing another little light coat on the rest of the jar, and then I'm gonna go back through and really make sure that I got the rim covered well. That seems to be the spot that I tend to miss the most, around kind of where it's rounded at the top, and then the ridges right there at the top where the lid would screw on. The painting portion of this project actually doesn't take very long. You can probably get all the coats on your jars within about an hour and a half. and then you want to make sure that the jars are fully dry before you add the laces. I'll show you how I added the laces, and then I'll also give you some options for different ways you can add them. Okay, so to make the laces for the football jars, I printed these out on my Cricut. However, if you don't have a Cricut, do not despair. I put together a PDF that is available on the blog for free, and you can download it and you can print it on your printer at home on adhesive sticker paper, and that should work just as well. Once I had the laces printed, I just had to line them up and add them to my jars. This was a little trickier than I thought it was going to be, just because of the round shape of the jars, and they kind of do have a front area and a side, so every now and then my placement would be off, but I got them placed and I think they look great. Now, here's where that extra craft I was talking about comes in. When I was searching for a Cricut template for the jars for the laces, I found one, and they happened to be on drinking mugs. I thought, since I had so many leftover jars from the package that I purchased to create the silverware holders, I could also create some drinking mugs too. The only thing that I had to do was to resize these so that they could fit on my jars appropriately. The ones in the Cricut design space were a little large, and my jars were probably a little bit smaller than the ones that they used in their photo. So I did the work to resize these, and I have a link to them in the blog post at sugarmaplefarmhouse.com. And again, the link to that blog post is in the description below. Here's how both these easy mason jar projects ended up. Okay, so the next fun Super Bowl DIY project that I created was this goalpost napkin holder. I have no idea where I thought of the idea for this. I was thinking of something that could hold the napkins, and I just wanted it to be Super Bowl and football related, and this kind of just came to me. Plus, I knew we had extra wood in the barn, so this project was essentially free for us to create. So to start, I sketched out this idea on paper and figured out the sizes that I would need by measuring a napkin. I had Kevin cut an extra 1x1 for me into 2 pieces, 2¼ inches long, 2 pieces 3¼ inches long, and 4 pieces at 2 inches long. For the base, I had him cut a 4x4 1-inch block. Once everything was cut, I gave it a light sand. I did not do a great job sanding these because I was just making this for myself and to have on our table, but if you're sanding this and you want to give it away as a gift or something for a football enthusiast, I would go ahead and do a better job sanding these because the wood can be a little rough. Once everything was cut, I gave the wood a couple of coats of paint. You just need a couple to cover the wood itself. And I will leave links to the colors that I used below, but you really just need a bright yellow and a bright green. To get the coverage that I liked, I had to give these about 3 to 4 coats of paint, and they had to fully dry in between. I used a sponge brush again on the wood because they're easy to find, they're cheap, and they work really well to cover all the wood. Once everything was painted and dry, I used wood glue to glue all the pieces together. If you have any wood glue that seeps out of the sides, just make sure that you get that off of there. Use your finger, use a paper towel, use whatever you need to use in order to make sure that the glue is not oozing out onto the goalposts for you. When it comes to lining everything up, you can see that I just kind of eyeballed it. I didn't break out the tape measure for this. I wasn't really that concerned about it. So I just went with what looked best and glued from there. Once you do have your posts together, I do think it's important to let them dry on their own before you go ahead and attach them to the base. So I gave these about an hour to an hour and a half to dry before I attempted to attach them to the base. And before I actually connected these to the base, I went back and I added another coat of paint to the goalposts so that I could push the paint into the cracks between the wood pieces so that they wouldn't be quite as obvious. This whole project will probably take you about a day and a half. Specifically because of dry time, you really want to make sure that the wood glue has time to cure once you've attached all the pieces. If you have any questions on this DIY goalpost napkin holder, you can leave them in the comment section below. And you can find a full blog post at sugarmaplefarmhouse.com on this project so you can see everything that I did, get all the measurements, and get all the information you need to do it yourself. And here's how the DIY goalpost napkin holder turned out. My final project for our Super Bowl party was this DIY football field table runner, and I love this project. I love how it turned out too. I think it looks so cool, and it is going to be a piece that we can use year after year. So here's how I made it. First, I was able to order a piece of AstroTurf in the exact size as my kitchen table. I didn't want to have to deal with cutting the AstroTurf because I figured that would be kind of a pain, and so I was able to find one that was the exact size I needed. I will leave a link in the description below to the one that I ordered, and at that link they actually have over 900 different sizes, so you can be sure to find one that fits your table too. Once I had the AstroTurf, we found the middle and marked that as the 50-yard line. From there, we were able to mark off the different yard lines and actually leave space for end zones too. The exact spacing that you need will depend on the size of your AstroTurf. Our yard lines all ended up being about 8 inches apart. To mark them, I used white duct tape in a 3/4 inch width. This stuck to the AstroTurf really well, and it was easy enough to use that if I needed to pull it off and reposition it, I could do that too. I used the ruler to help keep me straight as I laid the tape down, and then I took each end and I wrapped it around the back of the mat to secure it. I will leave a link to the exact duct tape I used in the description below so you can find it too if you want to use it creating a project like this of your own. Once all my yard lines were in place, I used a green duct tape that was 2 inches wide to wrap around the edge of my AstroTurf. The mat itself is made of rubber on the bottom, and I found that around the edges, some of the rubber would come off and the mat the grass part of the mat would actually fray. So I added this duct tape here to help prevent the rubber from coming off and to help prevent the mat from fraying. I found that the green duct tape didn't stick as well as I would have liked, so I am going to actually take some glue and help glue it on the front side of the mat. It sticks great to the back side, but it doesn't love sticking to the front side. However, I love the finished look that it gave to the table runner, so I would do this again and use the same tape and just secure it with a little glue. For the yard line numbers and the words touchdown, which I put in the end zone, I again used my Cricut machine. However, if you don't have a Cricut machine, I also created a PDF of the letters and the numbers you would need for this project that you can get on the website at sugarmaplefarmhouse.com. I'll leave a link in the description to it below. When it came time to add the numbers and the letters, I used an L-shaped ruler to help me line things up. It helped me measure things out and helped me to keep them level. Once I had everything lined up exactly where I wanted it, the Cricut Premium Vinyl actually stuck really well to the mat, and I was pleased with how it worked. If you don't have a Cricut and you're going to use the PDF that I created on the website and print this on your printer with adhesive sticker paper, I believe the sticker paper will work just as well for you. I'll leave links to the waterproof sticker paper and the waterproof premium Cricut vinyl in the description below. Final touch for this project for me was to add something to the end zones. In a real football game, you have the team names in the end zones, but I wasn't going to do that here because number one, when I made this, we didn't know who was going to be in the Super Bowl, and they're not necessarily teams that matter to me. So I just chose to put the words touchdown in the end zones so that there would be something down there to signify that yes, this is the end zone. I'd love to hear which project was your favorite from the 4 of these. Are there any that you want to try? Tell me in the comments below.
Thank you guys so much for following along today. I hope that you loved some of these DIY Super Bowl table decor ideas. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And as always, I will have links to the blog posts for all of these in the description below. Before you go, if you guys could give us a follow here and subscribe, that would be wonderful. That way you can keep up with everything we're doing here at the farmhouse. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.